Hey everybody, this is Rob Vegas and I'm checking in from Melbourne, Australia, and of course we're back with another one of our movie chats because it's November 2023 and it is movie month. Now of course we're going to talk about a couple more James Bond movies, and of course we're going to kick that off with The Spy Who Loved Me, starring Sir Roger Moore as James Bond on one of his toughest assignments yet. Of course, this movie also stars Barbara Bach and Kurt Jurgens as the supporting cast, and you're in for a lot of fun with this. This is a great, fantastic movie with lots of globe-trotting adventure. They go to Egypt and Italy and all sorts, even the Bahamas as well. So you're certainly getting your money's worth on this when it comes to location filming and also big blockbusting action, as some of the sets, especially the bad guy's base, which we'll get to, it was filmed on one of the biggest stages ever built at the time. This movie came out in 1977, and as I said, Sir Roger Moore is James Bond. This was his third movie in the role, and some say this is where he really found his feet, as his first movie, Live and Let Die, and then there was The Man with the Golden Gun, starring the legendary Christopher Lee as the title character in that. But some say this is where Roger Moore, like in those first two movies, he was kind of finding his feet, as it were, and getting into the groove. And people say this is where he really came into his own in the part of James Bond, and it's a real spectacle, and Roger Moore is great as always. Like, even in those first two films, he's really awesome as James Bond, and in this one, I guess he dials it up to 11, and perhaps behind the scenes, they really learn to write to his strengths and, how he performed as well and played the part. Essentially, what happens in the movie is two nuclear submarines vanish suddenly. One of them from the British Navy and the other from the Soviet Union. Now, for everyone who didn't grow up in the 70s and 80s and 60s, so everyone subsequent to that, the Soviet Union were basically the bad guys of sorts during a thing called the Cold War. So you might have to go to Wikipedia and look that up. But, there were global tensions between Western countries such as the United Kingdom and the United States and Australia and a few other countries, and we had tensions with the Soviet Union due to some stuff that happened in the 1940s, but that's a story for another day. I'm not here to talk about the Cold War. But anyway, moving forward, James Bond is on a mission, and he's called in by the guys who run MI6 in London, that he's got to go on a mission, and he was romancing a lady in a ski resort, and he gets called out, so he jumps on his skis and he's pursued by a squad of Soviet agents, and during the ski chase with these bad guys, he, in self-defense, he kills one of them, who this comes up a bit later, but anyway, he legs it out of there, and there's one of the most spectacular stunts ever put on film, which of course is where James Bond skis off a massive precipice or a cliff into nothingness and parachutes to safety with this big old Union Jack parachute, and it's jaw-dropping stuff, and it's a really cool way to set the scene and get the movie into gear with a big bang, as it were. Now, it turns out, though, of course, as I said, the two submarines have gone missing, so James Bond has been assigned on his end to find it. His British, peer, or his British submarine, so that's his mission. Now, the Soviets have also sent an agent in as well, who is Agent Anya Amazova, KGB agent Triple X, as it were. So she's going to be sent to find the Soviet submarine and also some crazy microfilm plans that 007 that James Bond, of course, is on the lookout for. Now, it turns out the guy who was pursuing James Bond in that ski chase was her lover. And, James Bond, as I said, killed the guy. And she also vows, in addition to finding these microfilm plans, to find whoever it was that killed her partner and, do away with them as well. And of course, that turns out to be James Bond, so there's that extra tension in the film between the two leads. Now, anyway, this all draws them towards this guy Stromberg, played by Kurt Jurgens, who's the big bad guy of the movie, and his plan is to set off a nuclear war between the Soviet Union and the Western powers, so the East versus West. And his big idea is he's going to make this underwater base called Atlantis a home for, the survivors of the nuclear holocaust. And, he's going to rule the world afterwards, of course. And this leads James Bond, who eventually teams up with Anya to track down Stromberg and solve the case and bring the bad guy to justice. And of course, speaking of the bad guy, he has a henchman who is famously Jaws, played by Richard Kiel. And he's this lovable big dude who terrorizes James Bond throughout the movie and keeps coming back. And he's fantastic. He's a real hoot every time he's on screen. Of course, Jaws, his shtick, or his characteristic, is he's got metal teeth, which he uses to dispatch of a number of the sort of people who try and help out James Bond and Anya throughout the film. But also at the same time, he's just a real menacing presence, I should say, or his presence is his presence, you could say. But he's a real thorn in the lead's side, and you're in for a really cool time with him. Of course, there's a ton of action sequences in the movie. There's a magnificent car chase, which turns into a submarine chase because James Bond's car, the Lotus Esprit, turns into a submarine. It's one of its gadgets. It's a really, really cool car and a lot of fun to see it in all of the action scenes. Of course, there's amazing sets. The bad guy's lair, well, he's got two of them, of course. He's got Atlantis, his underwater city, but he's also got like a super tanker which can swallow submarines, so that's a sight to behold. And it's a massive set that has space for two nuclear submarines and, like hundreds of bad guy hired goons as well. And there's a massive battle that takes place on this set, and it is epic stuff. And it is just mind-boggling to watch this all play out on the screen. So, I could talk about this one for hours on end because it's absolutely fantastic entertainment from go to woe. You're in for a really good time, and I say that about pretty much every movie, but this is a really cool film, and Roger Moore is on top form throughout, and of course the rest of the cast, the production design, the music, there's a song, Nobody Does It Better, sung by Carly Simon, which is wonderful. You've got all of this just top shelf elements coming together in this confluence, and you're gonna get a heap of action and entertainment and thrills the only way that Roger Moore as James Bond can deliver. And you're in for a really fun watch with The Spy Who Loved Me. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 on the Rob Vegas scale, as I really, really enjoy it and really dig it. And if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend it enough. It's it's serious and everything, but of course you can tell everyone involved is having fun, and that fun really comes through to when you watch it, and you just can't help but get taken along for a wild ride with it. As I said, top marks for this. 4.5 out of 5 is my Rob Vegas score. Let me know if you've seen it in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that sort of business. Yeah, if you haven't seen it and you're watching it for the first time, I'd love to hear what you think about it and how I guess this compares to the sort of grittier James Bond and spy movies that we get these days. But yeah, definitely check this one out. We're going to kick on with Movie Month with lots more movie chats, so stay tuned and I will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Crystal Ball says like and subscribe and leave a comment.
Yeah, it's raining a bit outside, isn't it?